Oh, we gonna watch this. There was an interview done about Xbox. She's the president of Xbox. Here we go.
Please welcome to the stage Sarah Bond, president of Xbox at Microsoft, for a conversation with Bloomberg's Dina Bass.
Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today. So I want to start talking about the industry in general. You and Microsoft Games CEO Phil Spencer have been raising kind of the alarm that the video game industry is just not growing, and there's a real need to figure out how to reverse that. What's causing the issue, and how does Xbox turn it around?
One of the reasons why the video game industry isn't growing is because there was a massive boom in video games and COVID. And as the world isn't locked inside all the time, even growth, like if you're growing at 10% every year, but you have a 50% growth that falls off, it's going to look like you're not growing.
Yeah, the last year or so,
it's balancing out. Yeah, it's balancing out.
Video games, largely the industry's been flat. And even in 2023, we saw just some tremendous releases, tremendously groundbreaking games, but still the growth didn't follow all of that.
We're not going to get any examples, are we? Why don't we get some fucking examples? Which games sucked? Like what? Actually, you know what? Let's look at Xbox releases. We had 3 big Xbox releases last year. Hi-Fi Rush, which did extremely well, but it didn't really have like a huge player base, like not really compared to like other games. Starfield, poster child of aggressive mediocrity. And then number 3 would be Redfall. Same thing. So yeah, if you work at Xbox, this is absolutely the way that you're going to feel.
A lot of that's related to our need to bring new players in, make gaming more accessible, but all of that has been happening at the same time that the cost associated with making these beautiful AAA blockbuster games is going up, and the time...
Has it ever occurred to you that maybe that's not the way that you should make games? That you don't need to make these AAA blockbuster games? Maybe that's not the right decision? Because, like, maybe that's really where the issue is.
Maybe they're just
And this is the problem, right? It's like you're blaming the audience, you're blaming the market. Maybe it's your process. Maybe the process is fundamentally flawed.
It takes to make them is going up.
It is, yeah.
And
then stop making them that way.
So much of our focus as
Stop
Xbox
doing it that way.
is about how we do things to help the industry all up.
Except for
while also ensuring
Tango
our brand,
Studio,
everything that we do is there through this moment of transition.
Related to some of the trends you're identifying,
I'm not really sure what that. Well, I don't know what she just said, but yeah, I'm not sure. But okay.
Earlier this week, Xbox announced the shuttering of 4 game studios. I know you're not the studio's chief, but how should gamers understand that move in terms of Microsoft's commitment to developing innovative exclusive
Here, I'll give the
games?
real answer. Gamers shouldn't give a fuck about it because we're just going to make other games. It's not your job to care about the studios. Just buy the games if they're good. Don't buy them if they're bad. It's that simple. No gamer really gives a shit about this in the first place. That's the real answer. You can't say that on TV, but that's the answer.
Games.
Yeah, it's always extraordinarily hard when you have to make decisions like that. I'll go back to what I was saying about the industry, and when we looked at those fundamental trends, we feel a deep responsibility to ensure that the games we make, the devices we build, the services that we offer are there through moments, even when the industry isn't growing and when you're through a time of transition. And the news we announced...
Yeah, she's saying they didn't make enough money. I think that's what she's saying. That's basically it. She's saying, like, even whenever... She's like, well, we want them to be successful even whenever the industry isn't growing. And the implication is that they were not. That's what I think she's saying.
Earlier this week is an outcome of that.
Yeah.
And our commitment to make sure that the business is healthy for the long term.
Exactly. Yeah, they were losing money. There it is. They were losing money on the studio. It's that simple.
But that said, our commitment to having our own studios and working with partners to have games large and small.
Corporate.
You know,
I
we're a
want to
platform
throw up
where you can
from my
play
anus.
GTA, but you can also play Power World, where you can
Yeah.
play Call of Duty, and you can also play Pentiment. That doesn't change. And frankly, our commitment to Bethesda and the role that it plays is part of Xbox and everything.
Yeah, big mistake on that one, huh? Yeah, bad call. Because of, like, Starfield, you know? Because it was bad.
We do. It's actually been pretty fantastic. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to check it out.
What?
The Fallout TV show was on Amazon, and it's been great to see people fall in love
That's
with
not a
that
game, though.
universe, but also what it's done for the games themselves and people
That's
going
a
back.
TV
and
show.
I mean, I'm
It's not a
sorry, but,
game.
like, the Fallout show being good probably... I mean, I'm sure Xbox helped make it better, but Xbox was not the causal factor in the Fallout show being good.
Everything that's inside of that. There's some other great things that are coming from our
Let's be
studios
honest.
later this year. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I was a big indie fan growing up. Looks like you were too. So you should check that out. But really right now for us and our teams, our focus is on the people impacted and doing everything that we can do to help them through this hard transition.
I think one of the
The
things.
reality is that there's no answer that she could realistically give that would be a good answer. Like, that's really the truth, is that she's in a very bad position where it's like, she can't say, well, they weren't making any fucking money, so we got rid of them. We axed them. They're not making the games we think they should make, so we got rid of them. They're not making the new, what was the game that they were, like, Phil Spencer was said that people were disappointed that the Hi-Fi Rush people weren't making, the Evil Within or something like that. Yeah, Evil Within 3. They didn't do that. They didn't bring home the bacon, and guess what happens? I disagree. She could have given a better answer. She could have touched more emotion more. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't think she should have touched any more emotion, because the problem is that if she had used more emotion, then people would have just said that they were crocodile tears, or it's just an executive that's trying to make you feel sorry for them. That wouldn't have been any better. She did exactly what she did. This was the best possible outcome for the situation that she was in, and I'm sorry, it was garbage. It was. But it's like, listen, if you've got to make a cake and your ingredients are nails, cat shit, and paint, well, you're probably not going to make a good cake, are you? It doesn't matter how good of a baker you are. Doesn't matter. And that's what happened here.
Things that was most upsetting both to Xbox gamers and to employees is that, you know, one of the shuttered studios in particular just created a hit game, did really well on Game Pass in terms of engagement, and won a
Hi-Fi
ton of
Rush,
awards.
that's what she's talking about.
Shouldn't succeeding in that way ensure the future of a studio?
I mean, this is a W question. I mean, I'll tell you that for sure. Like, yeah, what a great interviewer. I mean, I love seeing questions that are really, you know, kind of tough. You know, they are getting in there. Yeah, exactly.
You know, one of the things I really love about the games industry is it's a creative art form. And it means that the situation and what success is for each game and studio is also really unique. Like, there's no one size fits all.
So what she's saying is that their version of success publicly was not Microsoft's version of success. She's saying that it might have looked like it was successful, but behind the scenes and, like, on the balance sheet, it wasn't successful. I think that's what she's saying. Like, obviously, you know, I could be wrong. Hey, I could be wrong, but that's what it sounds like to me. I feel like this is actually a pretty good answer. Like, in terms of it being,
I wonder if Asmongold's ever gonna play
revealing.
Elden Ring again. Like, Kai Cenat is playing Elden Ring.
To it for us.
Isn't
Exactly.
like
See,
Asmongold
that's what
like
she's saying.
And so
a Kai
we
fan?
look at each studio, each
Like a
game
Kai
team,
fanboy.
and we look at a whole variety of factors when we're faced with sort of making decisions and trade-offs.
Yeah, that's the factor they're looking at right there.
Like that. But it all comes back to our long-term commitment to the games we create, the devices we build, the services, and ensuring that we're setting ourselves up to be able to deliver on those promises.
Talking further about growth, I mean, one of the key focus areas.
Yeah, I think that's really what happened, is that the studios just didn't make enough money. And I'm actually surprised that we got so much of a direct answer. It's odd because I saw a discourse about this online. I didn't watch it, obviously, but I saw a discourse about it, and people were saying that she gave non-answers. I feel like this is the closest thing to an answer that we could have got. Like, realistically, from like a corporate perspective, this is the most direct answer that we could have possibly received. She's giving non-answers? No, she's not. She's saying that they were successful, but not based off of our metrics. The metrics fucked up. I don't know if they did or not. None of us know that. Then stop buying studios. I think this is probably what happened. This is my guess. I don't know. I'm guessing. I bet they released Hi-Fi Rush and they didn't make enough money to sustain themselves for the development of the next game. And the expectation, like Microsoft was like, all right, if you want to do this, we're going to let you do this. And they did it, and it didn't succeed at the level they needed it to keep the studio sustainable until the next game never released. And so Microsoft cut them off. That's what I think happened, because that's what makes the most sense to me. Like, Game Pass, so well, it's all Game Pass. It's not all about Game Pass. So you need to think about this, like, so I guarantee you Microsoft has analytics. Microsoft probably has 50 different analytics that people that are being used on Game Pass to judge whether somebody is doing well or whether a user is, buying Game Pass or using Game Pass to play a certain game. Only 50. Yeah, 50 for individual users, right? Individual user, like, data points. So it's probably 50, maybe 100, maybe even more, right? I'm not sure. So, like, the amount of people that are playing Hi-Fi Rush on Game Pass, they know what that number is. They know what that number is at any given time. They know what that number was. They know what that number was projected to be. They know where that number is going to be. They know, they have a decent understanding of how many conversions and purchases of Game Pass was created by that number. Here, let me go ahead and show you something. For example, so this is just an example. I want to just go ahead, pre-order. Okay, we look at this here, and this should show. Okay, so whenever you click this button, Ubisoft has a tracker whenever you go on their website, and they are tracking your IP address of you deciding to sign up for Ubisoft Plus based off of this website address. And so every single online retailer does this. And they do it, like, I think I showed a picture of this recently. I guess it must have been deleted, but this is extremely common. So what they're doing is they're tracking basically like a flowchart of actions. And so the amount of actions that...
That's scary. What happened? A drawer? Oh, sorry. I'll go put it away. Give me a sec, guys. I gotta go put some stuff away. There's a tripping hazard. One sec. Okay, I'm back. I feel like something's wrong with this drawer. Like it doesn't, like the drawer's not open very well. And also like, I checked in like, one of the boards doesn't connect to another board properly. Such a pain in the ass. Let's see.
This game has that result in a purchase of Ubisoft Plus are then amortized over the lifetime value of a Ubisoft Plus customer and then factored into the value that that game is providing for the company. And why do I think this? Because would you do this? Hey, if you were running this company, would you do that? I would do that. Of course. You would need to do this. It's common sense. So of course they're fucking doing this. It's not even a question. Yeah, of course. So whenever they say, because you say it's on Game Pass, you don't understand what that means. They have the data for this. That's all I'm saying. Okay? That's all I'm saying.
For Xbox in terms of growth, and this was also one of the key bets in the Activision acquisition was mobile. What's the Xbox plan for future mobile gaming, and when can we finally see it?
Oh,
Yeah.
a dogged fellow, aren't we? Or is it merely thy habit to talk to dolls? Fine. Fine. I hadn't expected any soul to recognize me in this guise. But now the cat is out the bag. I cannot allow thee thy freedoms. Perform for me a service as recompense. Eliminate the baleful shadows which prowl these lands. The name of Rani the Witch is already sullied by thee. I will not brook disobedience in this matter. Perform for me. Eliminate the name of I will.
It feels like it's been a long time since we announced the Activision acquisition, which we completed in October. And the whole thesis about that, a lot of why we did it was about mobile. And
well, that's actually not because of Activision. That's primarily because Activision Blizzard King, and King is the maker of like Candy Crush. King is the real money maker there in terms of mobile. Obviously, you've got Hearthstone from Blizzard and then Call of Duty Mobile, but it's really King that's making a lot of that money. And that's actually an acquisition that Activision Blizzard made in like 2014, 15, something like that.
we felt strongly that there has been an opportunity for there to be an experience on mobile that is centered around gamers. Like, we talk a lot about how there's 3 billion gamers in the world. 2 of those billion play on mobile.
Well, and this is a problem that Facebook is running into too, is that Facebook is running out of people. So Facebook cannot continuously project consumer and user growth because at a certain point you reach what's referred to as market saturation. Well, what happens whenever you've saturated the whole world? Well, until we find aliens to use Facebook, you're not going to have year-over-year growth. That's it. And Microsoft is hitting that same point because Microsoft is a $3 trillion company. Like, anybody that could, like, basically, and you see this with Meta, they're actually taking initiatives to get people, like, on India online, to get people in other rural parts of the world online. Do you think that Mark Zuckerberg is doing that because he cares about those people? Maybe he does. Maybe he does, and this is a secondary effect. But the primary reason is because those users are now going to use his product so he can continue growing his company. He's planting a seed to harvest the fruit. It's not because he cares about the environment, it's because he wants the fruits.
And half of those actually play on mobile and they play on another device. But there isn't actually a gaming platform, a store experience that is centered around players and goes truly across device, where who you are, your library, your identity, your rewards.
Roblox. Opinion discarded. Opinion completely
Keep sitting
dismantled
the
and destroyed.
wrong-
Roblox.
Like the
no.
wall.
Travels with you versus
Steam.
being locked
Yeah.
to a single ecosystem. And we recognize that opportunity for a long
Well, Xbox ecosystem is locked to Xbox ecosystem. Like, it's not like you can play PlayStation games on Xbox. I think Steam is the closest thing to that, not Xbox. To be fair, I think that Steam is actually, Xbox is more ethical and more consumer friendly than Sony is right now. And I don't even think it's close, by the way. And it's like, it's always really funny that, like, we talk about this, right? Because it's like, oh, so which one's worse, Sony or Microsoft? And meanwhile, Nintendo's just like, don't see. They don't see. You know, that's it, because Nintendo's worse than both of them by a mile. But we don't ever talk about that.
time, we wanted to make sure that anything we built was really grounded in people who play those mobile native games and the creators of them. And so being joined with a team that has real deep expertise in mobile was important to us. But we are that now.
Yeah, and so that's, again, Activision to a lesser extent, King to a greater extent. I think that the reason why she's not talking about King directly is because it could seem like they're transitioning to mobile-focused games, and it could make them seem less serious in the eyes of more consumer-focused and more gamer-focused markets. I think that's why she's not talking about it. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Okay, I'll just try firing directly. Nope.
And so in
Yeah,
July, we are going to be launching our mobile store experience. We're going to start actually by bringing our own first-party portfolio.
Now, why does this happen? Why are they making their own mobile store? So if you look right here, you'll see that the Google Play Store takes a 30% share of app revenue. So based off of this number, it makes me believe that actually this makes a lot of sense for Microsoft. In fact, it might even make entire dollars. And I would assume a lot of them. So yeah, they isolate themselves for 30%. No, they're not going to isolate themselves. They're probably also going to offer it on the Google Play Store and then like slowly over time. Because I'm going to be honest here, I really don't like how the Google Play Store and the Apple Play Store, or like whatever it is, the Apple Store, for apps, I don't like how they have a dual monopoly on all smartphone apps. I think it's very consumer unfriendly, and I'm actually glad Microsoft is doing something about it. I think the more competitors in the space, the better. I wish there were more competitors in the gaming space besides Steam. But the truth is that no company besides Steam has, none of them have proven themselves to be worthy of our money. Epic Games is okay. It's all right. But, like, Steam is the best. Good old games? Yeah, maybe. Maybe you're right. I guess they have different games. I don't really use it, so I could be wrong about that.
Portfolio to that, so you're going to see games like Candy Crush show up in that experience, games like Minecraft.
Yeah, King.
And then we're going to extend that capability to partners so that they can also take advantage of it and have a true cross-platform, gaming-centric mobile experience. We're going to start on the web, and we're doing that because that really allows us to...
By the way, this is a very smart decision for Microsoft to make, and I think this is a good idea for them to do this. This is very smart.
Have it be an experience that's accessible across all devices,
I think
all
that they can pull it
countries,
off.
no matter what,
I
independent
think so.
of the policies of
I'm not sure.
closed ecosystem stores. And then we're going to extend from there. So I'm excited about it just because it's something that we've wanted to do for a long time. We've heard gamers talking about it for a long time, and we're now at the point where we can take those steps.
And so in July when it launches, we at that point at the beginning see Candy Crush and Minecraft in it, or how soon? Or
it would have to be, right?
You'll see things roll out over time.
do you know how
Yeah.
soon partners will be able to use it as well?
Our goal is to get partners using it shortly after launch. We really want to make sure we start and we scale using our own IP first. That allows us to make sure that the experience that we bring partners into really builds on all the quality and learning that
It's
we have
cleaner for licensing. So that's probably the real reason. But yeah, of course that makes sense.
as the team.
Another big discussion point in the Activision acquisition was cloud gaming and how big that market really was. When will we really see it gain traction? Is it gaining users finally in any particular regions and scenarios? How is it doing? What do people use?
I think cloud gaming is going to be the future. I do. I think so. Everybody's joking around about it, but I think that it will happen. Google Stadia was just too early. I think in South America, right? But I'm not sure.
You know, cloud gaming, for those that don't know, I don't know if everyone here in the audience is familiar with it, is just the ability to play a game natively from the cloud. So you don't need to actually have a piece of hardware in your home, and you can experience something that's AAA Xbox gaming on any device, regardless of the local compute that you have.
It's hard to explain this.
And we have been investing in that for some time because we really believe that opening up sort of these beautiful immersive experiences to more gamers is important for industry growth, for developers, and we know people want to play those experiences.
Well, it's also because this unlocks a new audience for them. Like, for example, in South America, China is mainly mobile. South America is a lot mobile too. But like in many places in the world that aren't like developed Western countries, there is a much lower rate of people that have like good gaming PCs to play these high quality games. So if they can nail cloud gaming down, at least to where it's playable, then they're going to be able to actually sell these games to that other audience. That's why these companies are trying to do it.
And we're seeing tremendous growth there. We have more demand than supply in that area, and you'll see us rolling out more capacity, introducing more options for people to jump in and play on the cloud.
And is it growing faster than the overall market? We were talking about the market itself is down. Where is cloud gaming?
It is growing faster than the overall market, really bringing in new players and growth for us. So it's an area where we're investing more and we're excited about.
Earlier this year, Xbox...
It's hard for me to say that there's ever going to be a game like Valorant that could be played over cloud, right? Based off of like how fast you have to react to things and everything. But I think that maybe you could do it if you had the same tech that fighting games have with like input rollback. But I don't know. Like I'm not I'm not sure. Okay. But I know games like Honkai Star Rail, you can do it for sure. Games like Age of Empires, you can probably do it. There's a lot of games that you can do it with pretty easily. Maybe in 10 years. Yeah, no, cloud gaming is something that will happen. It's just a matter of when.
Xbox announced for the first time that it was bringing a slate of Xbox-developed games, Xbox-exclusive games, to rival platforms, to Sony's PlayStation, Nintendo Switch. That obviously was a big change. It was a little bit unsettling for some of the Xbox hardware fans. But how is it going so far? Do you have any data about how the games are doing? Do PlayStation gamers really want to play Sea of Thieves?
Yeah, of course.
You know, it's early days yet, so I don't have specific data to share. But we are really encouraged by the reception of our games. And one thing that I think it's important to note is, you know, as Xbox, we've been putting games on other platforms for a long time. Minecraft is available pretty much universally.
Oh, what am I doing?
You know, the teams at Bethesda have had games on other platforms. The teams at Activision Blizzard have games on other platforms.
That's dumb.
And so it's a decision we just make on a game-by-game basis as
If
we
I
move forward and
exploded already
continue
or
to
something.
execute on our strategy.
I'm also a big fan of Microsoft doing this. I like the fact that you can play Microsoft games on PC as well as console. Like, for example, they could have made Halo Infinite console only. They didn't, and that was really great of them to do. That's why I said that, you know, Microsoft in a lot of ways is the most consumer-friendly big publisher here, more so than Sony at least.
I mean, at the same time, you know, we've talked about mobile, we've talked about cloud. I mean, of course, Xbox itself's heritage is in console. And, you know, the energy around the console right now is a little challenged. Many of the hard...
Aren't consoles loss leaders anyway? They lose money on console sales. That's my understanding. So, like, what's this fixation on trying to force people into buying a console that they're losing money on? I feel like this is a pretty stupid business model.
Or long-term customers are worried. They're worried about the release on other platforms. They're worried that that may indicate that Xbox is defocusing its own hardware. What do you say to them? How do you make them feel?
Those are the Xbox bros on Twitter. This comes straight from Twitter, Xbox Bros. Starfield Defenders.
Xbox is still for them.
Yeah, at first, the worry that I see is happening across the industry, and I think there's a lot of what we're seeing, just industry all up. But specific to core gamers, my focus has really been on engineering and building that next generation hardware experience that really, really taps in to their needs.
Okay, so they're saying they don't give a fuck about Xbox, and they think that I think what she's saying, this is what I think she's saying they don't give a fuck about Xbox, and I know that it's only a matter of time until this is irrelevant. To be honest with you, I think she's right. I think they're right. Like, there are so many things that are converging at the same time, where, like, mobile games are cannibalizing the audience of console players, cloud gaming is getting better, and the price of a console is still getting closer to the price of, like, an entry-level gaming PC that in some cases can do, if not the same, if not more, than what the console is. Obviously, gaming PCs are still much more expensive at this time, but the price is going down. And I think that, yeah, I think they're totally right. It's only a matter of time. Yeah, it's only a matter of time. And you're seeing this, too, with, like, I know, like, there were some leaks about the new NVIDIA cards and everything, but I think that what we're going to see more of, especially in the next 5 years, and even more so in the next 10 years, is dramatic price reductions in different tools and different resources that, like, computers need. Like, price reductions in, like, because generally with, like, with a PC, most of your money goes into your graphics card and your processor. Everything else is, like, pretty cheap, comparatively, right? And so as soon as they nail that down and they can make much cheaper products, then you're going to see gaming PCs directly cannibalize consoles. And I'm not saying that consoles are dead. I think that there's always going to be a place for consoles. But making that your business model, I think, is living on borrowed time.
I talked about this a little bit publicly a few months ago. I talked about how, you know, our focus is on delivering the biggest leap ever.
Yeah.
And that's about really thinking through every aspect of what that hardware and what that experience delivers with the core gamer in mind. And
yeah, I think what she's saying is that the Xbox is not what it should be. And I think that she's right. Like, I think the PlayStation is better than the Xbox in pretty much all ways. And on top of that, the Xbox serves no purpose. Like, for example, a Nintendo Switch or a Steam Deck, you can play on the go. For a Wii, you could get up and move your arms around. There's no, like, unique value that a Xbox provides.
It is about power performance. That's absolutely part of it. But it's also about the ability to be able to play all of the games. I mean, we have people who've been playing on Xbox for decades, have invested thousands and thousands of dollars and hours with us, and to be able to take all of those games with them into the hardware of the future.
This sounds a lot like they're going to try to do something with cloud gaming. That's what it sounds like to me. The tablet gaming? Well, that would be the same thing, basically.
One of the decisions I made when I came in and became president of Xbox was to establish a team dedicated to that, to game preservation and ensuring that future generations...
Can Nintendo fucking hire those people? Did somebody send this to Nintendo? Holy shit.
Future iterations, that you get to take those things with you forward.
Yeah.
You know, the next part of that is saying, okay, I get to bring those games with me. I'm invested in those games. I get an incredible high-performance experience on my console, but also continuing our commitment to make sure that gamers can bring their games with them wherever they want to play. That my Xbox library is something that can go with me and that I can enjoy with others. So our long-term commitment to cross-play is part of that, and our commitment to cross-progression and cloud saves, so you can pick up on one device and you can play on another.
What a great idea. Has anybody ever tried that before? Brilliant.
Melania could claim that title. It Each of us was chosen by our own two fingers.
Another is part of that.
As a
Yeah.
candidate
And also our
succeed
investments in
or
cloud gaming, which you referenced earlier. A lot of those who use cloud gaming are people who own a console. They're just, they want to play it on another device and go somewhere else. So that's the second piece. And then the last piece is about Game Pass. We know our core users love Game Pass. Game Pass is a gaming subscription. You get a whole portfolio of games, but importantly, you get every single one of our games that we build day one in Game Pass. And the quality and the breadth of those games has only been going up over time, and you're going to see some.
I don't think that's true. I think we all know that's not true. She knows that's not true. Not really though, right? So, like hopefully next year it'll be better. Yeah, hopefully next year will be better because like Halo Infinite was fucked, Redfall, like I guess the only one that was good was Hi-Fi Rush that came out that was like an Xbox like only game. At least as far as I know, like let me think. Starfield was bad. I mean Forza, yeah. Like I don't know who plays Forza, right? I'm not sure. They fired a company for it. Yeah, it's just. I think that this should be true. Like what she's saying should be true, but it's not yet. And I think this year is probably one of the worst years. Like 2023 was probably the worst year for Xbox's reputation ever.
Oh, Shadow. Thou
More
art
really
last.
big games going into Game Pass later this year.
From Activision's
Across the whole slate.
Not even
Across
close.
the whole slate. You're
Oh,
gonna
they had
see
a pretty
some really
bad one in
amazing
like
things.
2014.
And keeping that
Besides
is
that,
something
yeah.
that is really special for Xbox players, essential for us.
A lot of the focus at this conference today has been AI, but AI for gamers is a little different than we talk about AI for the enterprise or for healthcare. Where do you think AI will be important, both to players and to game developers, and how is Microsoft investing against that?
Yeah. I didn't hear all the talks today, but I think we can all confidently say that we are right at the beginning of what AI means for us as a society.
Obviously.
And for businesses in general, and that's absolutely true in gaming as well.
Yeah, these fucking clowns on Twitter who think that if they get a viral tweet that gets 10,000 likes, the Xbox is going to cancel AI. Like, I'm sorry, but these people are in for a very, very bad awakening. Like, that's not happening. AI is going to be the future, and it's going to replace the majority of jobs that exist. And in a lot of cases, it will not replace your job, but it will make somebody else be able to do your job twice as fast, which means that the guy next to you gets replaced, and you're doing both your job and his job. That's where I think it's really going to come in.
For us, we take our responsibility around AI as Microsoft very seriously, and being really, really thoughtful about what we do. And as Xbox, there's something really unique about being a gaming company that is part of a major AI company. And so all of our focus within our team is about how we ensure that gaming AI is really crafted in a way that delivers unique and delightful experiences to players, and adds real value for developers.
I'm gonna be honest, if they had just made Starfield with AI, it probably would have been better than if they had released it. Like, they should have just had that whole thing done by AI. It would have been funnier. She's saying nothing. Well, what she's saying is like, so she can't really answer this question entirely because of the culture around AI. There's like still a really big culture, especially inside of like the games industry, that's like super anti-AI because they view it as cannibalistic towards their careers, which they're right about. So like she can't come out and say, we're going to be using AI for everything because it's going to massively help us do everything. But that's clearly what they're going to do. Everybody's going to do this. Microsoft isn't special. Every company is going to do it.
So there's three things we look at as part of that. The first is around developer velocity. How do we give developers tools to make it easier for them to realize their creations, to speed up iteration cycles, and also, frankly, to make it easier for people who may not have as much in-depth training on game development to build a game. we know that with that, there's just going to be a huge proliferation of gaming content and options out there.
Well, this is already happening, right? And it started happening, I would say, like 3 years ago, because that's whenever a lot of the indie games now like started getting made, maybe 2 years ago, or like I'd say 2 to 4 years ago, somewhere around there. Who cares? But like, she's absolutely right. Think about how much easier Unreal 5 made it to make games. Like, you see new shitty games come out all the time, but they look amazing because they're made in Unreal 5. Yeah, this is going, and it's only going to become more and more true.
So that leads us very naturally to the next layer where we're investing a lot, which is around discovery and making sure that people can really be matched with the game experience that we know that they'll love, and that a whole range of creations can be discovered from the biggest games, but also from something novel and new that you may not have intuitively known to look for, but you're gonna love if you experience it. And then the last piece is around the actual experience in the game.
Yeah, their marketing probably could be better. She's right about that.
Engagement, delight, you know, playing through and having a fun time, not getting stuck. All the things that come with that, so that you can get really the most out of the game experience. So we are early in this, as I said. You'll see us share things, and things will come out during the course of the year. But our focus just really continues to be on keeping player at the center, keeping the developer at the center, and how AI turns up in gaming.
Xbox President Sarah Bond, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah. I feel like this went about as good as it could have gone for her. I'm going to be totally honest. I don't think there's anything that she could have said. There's nothing that she could have done that would have made the questions about, for example, you know, the Hi-Fi Rush studio and everything.
One of the things
there's nothing that she could have done that would have improved it. She just didn't have, like, there's no way. Yeah, it was very corpo speak. Well, yeah, of course. Like, absolutely. No shit. Like, she's speaking for the corporation. Like, and also, I feel like Microsoft is under, like, a really big microscope right now. Because, obviously, like, the FTC lawsuit that they just went over, you've got everybody hating on them right now because of the studios they closed. They had one of the most embarrassing years of first-party launch games that I think any studio has ever had, ever. Let me think. What else besides that? Oh, AI. They've invested billions of dollars. Didn't they buy OpenAI? And, like, everybody hates AI, but everybody also knows it's the future. So you've got to, like, tread this imaginary line. Like, it's yeah. Xbox is constantly feeling, yeah, exactly. It's getting 8% of his money and growing, which is amazing. My brother is invested in Microsoft, getting 1.5%. Yeah, OpenAI is huge, right? So I think that they don't want to say certain things. This is the video. I feel like in general, this was a pretty good interview. Now that I've seen the interview myself, I'm actually kind of confused why Twitter was so angry about this. Because I feel like, what do you guys think? I feel like she gave the most comprehensive answer that she could have for why they got rid of those companies. I really do. She said basically the metrics you see aren't the metrics we see, which is like, really, what else could they say? Yeah, Twitter's not good at understanding corpo speak. Yeah, I guess
wow,
so.
That's exactly the same amount of damage.
Yeah, she was. I thought this went really well. Twitter cries and people don't sugarcoat everything. It was a great video. Yeah, I think so too. Because she didn't apologize. Well, of course they're not going to apologize. Like, of course, that would be the worst thing that they could possibly do. When people lose their jobs to AI and can't afford their food and rent, who will these companies look to for growth whenever no one can pay? The companies will start asking, I think the companies will start lobbying for universal basic income to keep the cycle going. I think that's what will probably happen. That's the only way that I think it could happen. But I'm not sure about that. Yeah, I don't know. That's the only way that it could make sense to me, but there might be a couple of key things that, like, I'm not thinking of. To be honest with you, I'd have to really think that out.
shit. Got greedy. Also, the summons did nothing. Bad aim. Jesus. Such a shitty positioning. A bit too far. Oh my god. It's the worst fight ever. Okay. Or not. Night. Good night, good night. What? Add some oil onto what?
constantly about like Xbox and like people thinking Xbox is like dying. I was gonna watch a video about
For the first time, let me now unveil Xbox.
Wow. Wow, it's an X.
Stop me if you've
By the way, Xbox went so hard whenever it first came out.
heard this one before. Xbox stepped on a rake again. For the umpteenth time in the past decade,
Yeah.
Microsoft has found itself on the wrong end of bad news. And as usual, it's self-inflicted. Just as Team Green was starting to gather some positive momentum,
Yeah.
Fallout is the biggest show on TV, boosting all the Fallout games along with it, the upcoming launch of Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, and that may be the very kind of prestige, single-player, narrative-driven, third-person action-adventure that the brand has long lacked.
Would you give your life for these outsiders?
The next Xbox Showcase was also announced for June 9th,
Ooh.
where we might finally see the long-anticipated next entry in the Gears of War series, the next entry in Call of Duty, and more. Xbox brass torched the morale of customers and quite possibly its own developers alike by announcing the closure of 3 studios, Tango Gameworks, Arcane Austin, and Alpha Dog, and the consolidation of a 4th, Roundhouse. Fans were quick to point back to recent and now hypocritical seeming quotes from Xbox executives, such as marketing boss Aaron Greenberg saying last year that just axed developer Tango Gameworks' Hi-Fi Rush was, quote, a breakout hit for us and our players in all key measurements and expectations. We couldn't be happier with what the team at Tango Gameworks delivered with this surprise release. And in the 2021
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Like, it seems it's very odd that they did that, but I don't think that Xbox needs to, like, trying to appeal to really vocal fans on social media really isn't a good decision. I think that as long as I think that Xbox, like, people think about, like, Xbox, like, Sony, I think that for making games and PlayStation, Sony is very narrow in their vision. I think that Xbox has a much larger vision for that because they are able to monetize PC users uniquely because they also, you know, monetize through having Windows, right? So, and I think also there's going to be cloud gaming and other things like that too. Xbox is useless, yeah.
Xbox documentary Power On, Sarah Bond said the leadership team asked themselves how to learn from and not
Hey, Rusty, how's
repeat
it
the
going?
same mistake of acquiring a studio, in this case, original Fable developer Lionhead,
Yeah.
only to later shut them down.
Yeah, well done.
And 1 year ago, in the wake of Redfall's disastrous launch, Xbox boss Phil Spencer said, quote, one thing I won't do is push against the creative aspirations of our teams. When a team like Rare wants to do Sea of Thieves, when a team like Obsidian wants to do Grounded, when Tango Gameworks wants to do Hi-Fi Rush, when everyone thought they were probably doing The Evil Within 3, I want to give the teams the creative platform to go and push their ability, to push their aspirations, end quote.
I don't think that Xbox can win a console war.
Am I making an egg
because
helmet?
Xbox isn't
No, it's just a
releasing their
test.
games on.
It's a helmet to test like what it would look like if they wore a visored helmet. So you see, like, this looks pretty silly because why would they need the visor, right? I'm gonna have to create class-specific helmets if this if they don't have like a why do they need the eye slots for? They don't have eyes. Move that there, and then it looks better. Okay, that works, I guess. Means we can have the tendrils, like, covering the eyes. It's a bit like that.
console only. The reason why people generally, I would say, buy a PlayStation is because there are games that you can only play on a PlayStation. That's not true with Xbox. That right there, they don't have exclusivity, yes. And like, I hate exclusivity. I think it's awful. There's no benefit for the customer that they have exclusivity, except for maybe the games come out
But
like
the eyes
slightly
are still
faster because
covered
they only
with,
need to be
like,
optimized for
the
like one
things.
device. Other than that, exclusivity
It looks
is
better,
extremely
though,
consumer unfriendly,
because, like,
right? Because like a lot of people don't have
in real life,
$500 to drop on a new console.
all you
whenever the
need is
fuck
like a
there's new game
pinhole,
that comes out
right?
that they
If
want to play.
something
So
is so close
I
to your
don't think
eyes,
Xbox
to be able
can
to see
compete,
through.
and I don't think that they
So
should try
that
to.
actually
They should
makes
just have the
sense.
Xbox. People will keep buying Xboxes forever, but don't invest a lot of money into this. It's over. Yeah, it's over.
At best, those once reassuring quotes ring hollow today. At worst,
Because like again, like I bet also, like the PlayStation, like the PlayStation Network Pass or PlayStation Plus or whatever the fuck it is, like basically PlayStation's version of Game Pass. I bet Game Pass probably outsells it 10-1. I wouldn't be surprised if it was more. And I think that pretty much for sure it's more in general. So yeah, I think that Xbox, like they are, the way that they're monetizing is different than Sony. It's totally different.
they're outright lies. We've come a long way from Xbox fans once proudly decreeing "In Phil we trust" and posting photoshopped Dark Knight-esque "I believe in Phil Spencer" buttons online.
Wow, people
Awfully,
did that.
Bloomberg reports that
Cringe.
Microsoft might not be done making cuts, so this may very well get
Oh yes, the firings will continue until morale improves, or until actually profits improve.
worse.
It's going to
before
keep
it gets
happening for
better.
sure.
For
100%.
developers, that would mean further job losses. And for gamers,
Well, yeah, of course.
that might mean another possible Xbox Game Pass Ultimate price increase. So how did we get here? Why can't Xbox stop tripping over its own 2 feet? And with the Xbox organization growing so massive over the past half-decade, and its reach extending not just to consoles, but to any device capable of playing video games, can the soul of Xbox even be saved?
No. No. They've got probably 2 more generations left in them, and then it's going to be completely irrelevant. And this is a good thing, because technology evolves. It's the same as like how we don't get Game Boys anymore. Like there isn't really a new Game Boy, right? Because now you just have the Nintendo Switch. That's it. 1 at best. You think it's 1? I think they can probably. I think they'll try to do 2. Yeah, phones have cannibalized that. The Switch has cannibalized that. Bad example? No, it's just like no. I think it's a perfect example because what people used to use a Game Boy for, now they're using a phone for. Now they're using a Nintendo Switch for. So like you're seeing this market for like consoles become shrinkingly smaller, right? And it's becoming that more and more and more.
Spoke to 2 former longtime Xbox employees separately, and both lamented the current state of the brand. One told me prior to this week's awful studio closure news, quote, "I had lengthy conversations with a bunch of Xbox founders, and we all came to the same conclusion. It's no longer Xbox, but Microsoft Gaming."
That's good. That's a good thing. I understand if you're an Xbox fan, you're not going to like that, but I think that's good.
Ouch. The other
Face,
chatted
yeah.
with me at length after the Bethesda bloodbath and believes Xbox is now too big to quickly or easily get its house in order. Quote, "There is just too much surface area. You have effectively 3 huge companies at play, and Microsoft never really finished the integration with Bethesda. And Activision is like 3 times the size Xbox was."
Yeah.
They added, quote, "Xbox 360 launched with a few hundred people. Last I heard, Xbox is now almost 30,000 people." And
30,000 people. I wonder how many people it will be by the end of the year. How about by the end of next year? Maybe 20,000. Maybe 25. Of course this is going to happen. They're trying to hold on to an antiquated model. I think that Sony can keep doing it, but they are doing it at the expense of the consumer. Like Sony is winning this war because they're doing things that are consumer unfriendly. whereas Xbox is not.
That growth has led to, in the opinion of the Xbox veteran I spoke to, increased oversight and meddling from further up the Microsoft food chain.
And I also want to
so
say, too,
tired.
that even if Xbox did the exact
Muscles
same thing
hurt.
that Sony did, Sony would still wipe the fucking
Building
floor with
IKEA
them
furniture
because
sucks.
every Xbox exclusive right now is fucking trash. Like,
Fucking
Halo
trash.
sucks.
I hate it.
Gears of War is non-existent. Redfall was a disaster. Hi-Fi Rush, you know, again, popular game, a lot of rewards, but people aren't playing it to say, like, there's more people playing Skyrim than people playing Starfield. They have failed in basically everything this year in terms of games. Every single game that they've tried to put out has been a failure. Think about how awful that is.
Quote, the reason this
Their
seems so
entire lives
inconsistent with previous
amounted to
Xbox
nothing but
leadership
failure.
team statements is that these decisions probably aren't being made by Phil.
Imagine
This is
that.
all getting dictated by Microsoft CEO Satya
Pure
Nadella
failure.
and Microsoft CFO Amy Hood, and
F's
it
in
all
chat
stems
for-
from the
for
Activision
Microsoft.
acquisition.
Yeah.
End quote. The long-tenured ex-Xboxer continued, quote, the situation Xbox was in when they made this call was much different. They couldn't keep consoles in stock, making money hand over fist with Game Pass growth. The Activision acquisition seemed like a no-brainer. Now, console sales are down, post-COVID recession, Game Pass slowing. The acquisition was more costly and time-consuming than anyone expected. And the focus on fighting the FTC probably cost them time
Okay, this looks
they
so
would
much
have
better.
spent thinking through the
I'm
people
very
and
happy
studio
with
implications.
how this is turning out.
I think that they're also worried about getting regulated. I think that after the FTC thing, like, that's the same reason why I think that they're moving a lot of
So
games
much
onto
better.
Steam. I don't think that Xbox is moving the games onto Steam for any other reason other than avoiding the accusation that they could be a monopoly. That's what they're really trying to fight against. And I don't think that they really care, because you think about, like,
Go add
think about how
another
much
set,
more
smaller set
cataclysmic
here
that would
as
be
well.
than them losing a console war. Which one is worse? Getting
Whoops.
determined as a monopoly by the FTC and getting the entire company broken up? Or you lose the console war? Again, right? Xbox is functioning on a level that Sony doesn't have to worry about.
I 100% believe this is a board-level decision.
Yeah.
Xbox was a huge
If I was on the board of Xbox, I'd do the same thing. I think they're right.
profit center, so Satya
Slept
approved
4
a huge
hours
merger.
today.
Now,
Been
games
feeling like
are
shit the whole day,
slowing
but
and
it's only 5
Microsoft's
PM, so I'm
stock
just
has skyrocketed.
Damn.
And there is no way Satya is going
should
to
take
let
a nap.
Xbox drag it down.
You should
Yep.
This is
take
all
like a
my
1-hour
opinion,
nap.
Of course, but
Trust me,
I'm
you'll feel
fairly
so much
certain
better.
these are not
gotta set,
decisions
like,
being made
10
only
alarms,
by
though, so you wake
Xbox
up.
leadership.
You can be 100%
But it's worth
certain
it.
about that.
Trust
yeah,
me,
of
it's
course.
worth it.
That's not
Just
to
take
absolve
a
Spencer
1
Devin
hour
not
nap,
even
or
in
just
the
like lie
console
down.
war, and yet he still wins.
for his role in all of this, unlike the
Yeah.
tone-deaf, won't someone
gotta-
think
you gotta
of
make
all
sure to
the
set, like, 10
multi-millionaire
alarms.
executives response of former Xbox higher-up Mike Ibarra. Spencer is, after all, the person in charge of the entire organization. The buck stops with him. The Bethesda
Well, he's
and
yeah.
Activision Blizzard acquisitions happened on his watch.
Yeah.
As such, he is no more shielded from criticism for being, by most accounts, including my own for the record, a very nice guy, than the star professional athlete is for
Well, this is what happens, right? Whenever you're in a leadership position, you own the successes of your team and you also own their failures. We all know that it probably wasn't Phil Spencer that was in there programming Redfall to make it bad. But it's still his responsibility, even though it's not his fault. And it's the same thing with any of this. Like, that's what being in a leadership position means. It means taking shit and also getting shit for things that in a lot of cases weren't entirely your doing. And this is just another example of that.
underperforming on the field or court, despite regularly signing autographs for kids before games.
Yeah.
But no matter who's to blame for the weight of Activision Blizzard seemingly tipping Xbox's scales out of balance, it's now fair to wonder if and how Spencer can save Xbox's soul. Is Xbox a gaming brand that means anything to gamers anymore? Can it stand toe-to-toe with Sony and Nintendo?
What even is
And if the
gamer
answer to those
anymore?
questions-
No, it can't. I think that the way that they need to
How?
market
Why
Xbox
gamer?
is they need to market it as a tool in the same way that Steam Deck is marketed almost like a tool. Like, Xbox needs to effectively function as a PC Lite.
No, wake
I
up.
think that's what they
Weak
have
willpower.
to do as a service. Yeah, Xbox becomes a service rather than a console. And people will buy the console for ease of
Alright,
access
fair
to the
enough.
service, the same as people would buy an iPod so they can use iTunes. That's like, or so they can interface better with iTunes. That's, I think, the only
What
thing
is
they can do.
this?
That's what they're doing, of course,
So they
right?
keep
I mean,
sending
the
me
people that
stuff.
work
Oh,
at
it's this
Microsoft
thing
are really
again.
smart.
It's gonna jump at the
like,
camera.
You have to understand that, like, these decisions that they're making are not stupid.
Is
I'm not
I can
watching
say
that
that, but then
jump
they also
scare.
released Redfall, so
watching the
maybe
jump
they're
scare.
not that smart. But I feel like they've got to at least know what they're talking about whenever it comes to money, right?
Nah.
What defines Xbox?
Giving them way too much credit.
Is it
I don't know,
Xbox
man.
Game
It's
Pass?
a $3 trillion
Is
company.
it big exclusive franchises like Halo,
It's not.
Forza,
That's what it's
Gears
definitely
of War,
not. That's 100%
Fable,
it's
and
not.
maybe
$3
should
trillion
they end up
company.
being exclusive? The
They must
Elder
have picked
Scrolls,
themselves up by
Fallout,
their
and Doom?
bootstraps.
Is it gaming anywhere seamlessly through PC, mobile, console, cloud, and handheld support that's
Okay, give
invisible
me a
to the
second.
end user?
I don't want to hear this while I'm fighting. Oh god, so much lag. Oh my god. They're fighting invisible enemies. I'm so scared. Oh my god. Got some poltergeists in here. That thing's still alive. No, it's not. Take care of that. Absolutely terrifying, the lag. Ooh, what's that loot? Ooh, what's that? It's a invader. Invader's gonna die. Just gonna get it. Gonna get got. Oh, I just knocked him off. GG. Better not just like fucking explode in a shower of blood because the invader hit me like 20 billion times on his screen. I'm so scared. Cheater! Cheater, cheater, pumpkin eater! Using hacks, duplicating starlight shards. Oh, he's still alive. Ah! I'm trying to target lock the... There we go. Oh, I should be using the sword. Bard. Oh! Wait, I think I've run across this guy before. Little numbery. Either I grouped with him or I recently invaded him. I've been practicing invasions a bit. It's not easy. It's not easy being an invader. Doing alright on mana. But there's an ogre around here too, isn't there? It's a different dungeon. Trap! It's a trap! Standing below the trap, I should be fine. I'm gonna wait until they're out of that hallway. I do not trust other players to not trigger traps. Can I launch it through the gap? There we go. Oh yeah, you see that? That's how you do it. They're all gonna explode. Just give them a minute. They just don't realize they're dead yet. Delay God is gonna claim your soul. Look, I gotta help these people out. They needed me. I have a purpose in life, and that is to help hosts gank reds. I feel like someone's gonna die. Oh no. Death by poison. That's horrible. Look, it's showing its anus. It wants to mate. Gross. Wow, I can't manually aim that because Elden Ring. Yeah, you smack it. I still can't target lock. They're just hovering. May trigger the trap. I feel like he's triggered the trap, possibly. Maybe. Alright, he's dead. He just doesn't know it yet, but he's dead. And he's second now. And it's gonna be like Death Note. I just wrote the pot's name into my diary, into my wizard diary, and he's gonna explode. Just you wait and watch. Okay, maybe it needs some more help getting killed. There we go. It's dead now. Flasks, I have 4 left. Should be enough to clear out this entire dungeon, the boss, and any invader that comes by. Oh, isn't this so weird? It's like we've been here before. Isn't that crazy? Can I angle this spell down? No, he can't. You can throw a pot down there. He's dead. He's dead. You're dead. Stop moving. Stop moving, pot. You're not allowed to do that. That's illegal. Supposed to play your death animation and then shatter. Spawn broken jar, mesh object, 1 through 5. Thank you. They're cheating. Even the NPCs are cheating now these days. Everyone's cheating because they're all tired of waiting for the DLC. His third Starlight Shard. He's eaten Starlight Shards like they're easily farmable and not resources that only appear a couple times per playthrough. What boss is this? I forget. It sounds like it's one of those worms. Balls. Gonna get got. Maybe. Not ideal. Not ideal situation. Got one left. And then I'm useless. Utterly useless. I'm just a light rolling staff user with no mana. I think he's dead. That looks like he's dead, right? Pretty sure he's dead. Okay, that was way too laggy. I'm glad that's done. It's not fun. I'm gonna need some like tendrily worm technology for these tentacles. But first, let's make a duplicate. Adaptive skin. Let's go make the top. These top parts here. They're not gonna be tentacles. They're gonna be like fingers. Yeah, we're kind of going back to the roots of this character and adding like tentacles to the head. I'll be right back. Give me a sec. Okay, I'm back. Chocolate.
User? Can it be all of these? Should it be all of these, or does Xbox then become a jack of all trades, master of none? After all, when you think of either
I think that what they could maybe do is if they were able to create a device that could stream cloud gaming at a 99% lossless ratio, they would probably outsell Sony and PlayStation. I think that's the only way that they could be successful. in that market. The tech isn't there yet. I know. But I'm saying that, like, theoretically, a cloud gaming device that's an Xbox, I think would be the only thing that could work.
PlayStation or Nintendo, you arguably think of
Iffy?
one
It's very
thing
iffy, yeah.
and one thing alone. Consistently incredible exclusive games. That's it.
We could have killed you. Maybe you should have.
If the board is pushing Xbox in this direction, will Spencer push back? These decisions, no matter who's making them, are costing Xbox an incredible amount of both talent and community trust. Spencer knows that, and it's up to him to fix it. To this point, I would have argued that up until this past week, Spencer's 10-year term as head of Xbox could be summed up as such. Gamer-first initiatives like backwards compatibility, accessibility,
keep in mind that backwards compatibility and accessibility were only arrived at because of Sony putting market pressure on them and then outselling them with the PlayStation 4. So this actually never happened because of Microsoft. This was completely because of Sony. So in a weird way, right? It's like the thing that we're thinking is so good about Microsoft is actually because of Sony.
Play and Xbox
that doesn't matter?
Game
Yes,
Pass.
it does.
But he has yet to deliver either the single breakthrough blockbuster game that captures the zeitgeist or the steady flow of
here's the reason.
blockbuster game that captures the
Why did they make Cortana look like that? She looks ugly. She used to be way hotter in the original games. Who the fuck thought this was a good idea? You stupid? The fuck are you doing?
You stupid?
Like, I mean, look. I mean, do I have to say it?
Cortana was pretty
zeitgeist
hanging hot.
or the steady
I don't know what
flow
happened to her.
of high
That's
They
quality.
hit her with the ugly
Cortana?
stick.
Do you think that would change anything about what I'm saying? No. She should be hot.
She should be as hot as the Samsung
Exclusive games that
Samsung
bring
virtual
loyalty
assistant.
to a platform.
It's not even a question.
Now, though,
What?
he will likely be remembered primarily by how he
She needs
handles
to be hot enough
this
that
moment.
Rule 34
Can
will
he
make porn of her.
organize a 5-company monolith, Xbox, Bethesda, Activision, Blizzard, and King, into a single entity
That is the
makes
criteria.
both gamers and shareholders happy? Is that even possible? If he can't, the Activision, Blizzard, King acquisition may prove to be more trouble than it's worth.
Completely disagree with that. I do. I completely disagree with it. I think that a lot of people that are like Xbox fans are only thinking about the success of Xbox. There's the video right there. I thought it was a pretty good video. IGN take. No, I like these videos. I think they're great. I wish they made more of them. They're great content to talk about too. If he can, he'll be the next Emperor of Mankind. I think the only way an Xbox can be competitive, I think the only way that Xbox can be competitive in the market is if, and you remember this back in the day, out of Xbox, GameCube, and PlayStation 2, Xbox in terms of graphics and performance was the best. And it was like not like way better, but it was better. And Xbox right now is like this, not really that great. It's about the same, right? PlayStation 5, in my opinion, I think looks better. But that's just my opinion. Overall, Xbox Live was leaps ahead for years. It was. And even whenever Sony tried to compete with them, well, like Sony's networks went down for like, what, 3 months? Back in like 2009, 2010, 2011, somewhere around there. Like, so I think that they have to do something that nobody has done before in the same way that Nintendo did with the Switch. Like the Nintendo Switch, and really the Nintendo Switch, the Wii U walks so the Nintendo Switch could run, basically. So they've already done this. Like Nintendo has already done this. And there are so many portable consoles right now that you don't really need another one. I think that the only way that they could capture a new market is a actual successful version of Google Stadia or cloud gaming. And as people mentioned, and I think they're right, I don't think that we're there yet technologically. At least I certainly don't think that. I don't think so, right? That's the only thing that I think they can do to where they can actually compete in the console market. Nintendo adapted, Nintendo did adapt, and they are the best at adapting. And so whenever I see this, computers still expensive? Yeah. Like, I think that Xbox needs to transition to being more of a service. I think they're doing that with the Game Pass. You said Game Boy is dead, but I still wish they were doing 3DS and portable console. I don't like the Switch as a portable. Yeah, but that I mean, yeah, I can see why you feel that way, but Game Boy is dead, right? Xbox should be a laptop? Maybe, yeah. Game Pass is bad, to be honest. Well, there's a lot of people that disagree and they like Game Pass. Everybody's going to have their own value proposition for it. So the Sega route for Xbox? Maybe you're right, yeah. Because, like, there's no law of humanity that says that Xbox needs to exist in perpetuity. Xbox was Microsoft's foray into the console market inside of a world that was completely different than what we have now. Like, a lot of you guys, actually, to be honest, like, a lot of you guys, like, we're all mostly older guys, right? So you remember the Sega Genesis, you remember the ColecoVision, the Intellivision,
decrepit.
the Odyssey, the Atari, the Neo Geo. Nokia made a gaming console, the Game Gear, the Dreamcast, Sega Saturn. What are some more of them? The Commodore 64. Oh man, the Jaguar. Yeah, that was the portable one. The Lynx. Yeah, the Lynx was also a portable, I think, as well. The N-Gage was Nokia. Sega CD. I had that one. So back in like the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s, mainly the 80s and the 90s, there were like 10 different players in the console market. And then towards the end of the 90s, you had a lot of players coming into the portable console market. And again, like, this was just what happened. So I think this is the way it was for actually probably longer than it is the way that it is now, almost. Game Boy Advance, yeah, I remember that. And so mass innovation, yeah, exactly. So Xbox's biggest problem is saying one thing in an interview and then doing something completely contradictory. Even the mobile store yesterday had an update that made it sound like a coupon page. I disagree with that. The reason why I disagree is because Xbox will never live or die based off of what they say publicly, because 95% of Xbox consumers are not making decisions based off of what they're saying because they're not listening. Console gamers are, by definition, less engaged.
You know what? These...
They're not paying attention to everything that Xbox is saying. They're not paying attention to, like, statements that Xbox made and, like, cross-referencing them like... versus, like, statements that, like, Xbox said, like, 5 years ago or 6 months ago. Like, they're not thinking about that because these are casual gamers. The only thing they're thinking about is, I could buy an Xbox and I could get these games, or I could buy a PlayStation and I can get those games. And guess what happens? They buy a PlayStation. That's what happens. If they cared that much, they buy a PC. Yeah, there you go. So that's in general, like, that's kind of what I think is happening. And again, I don't really see, I don't see Xbox, I don't see them popping off, and I don't see them holding a big audience anymore. I just don't see it happening. Their games are way better. Yeah, I think so too. Xbox is transitioning into a live service. Yeah, and I think that's a good thing. Okay, you can look at them and then the eyes they lose, it's more fun. Yeah, sure. It's already happening. I think so too. And just in general, that's going to be the new normal, I believe. Trying to get my friends into PC gaming, but I think the way I can convince them is if I pay for half as a gift. I think really the best way to get somebody into PC gaming, I don't know. I feel like PC gaming, like, you do have to know at least a little bit about it versus console. So if you don't really care about PC gaming, you're probably not going to stay invested into it. And also, it's a lot of money. Yeah, get them a Steam Deck. I think that's a really great idea. Yeah, a Steam Deck is probably the best foray into it more than anything else. You check investors for friendships. Almost safe to say that Steam and Windows will merge soon in the future. Cloud gaming will be the excuse. If Steam and Windows merged, I mean, after I saw what Microsoft did to Skype, I'm a little bit nervous about that, to be honest with you. I don't think that would be a good thing. I would prefer if Steam stayed its own thing.
Can you imagine that? We're gonna go back to pirating if Steam merged with Microsoft. I guess this whole thing here will just be like one mass of like flesh that has hair physics to it. If so, I need to add in like add in some asymmetry. I'm gonna have to think about it. And then like these bits here, they're gonna be kind of like the graspers on her whatever the fuck that is. On the nightmare fuel. Actually, let's hang here for a bit. I kind of want to finish this up first before.
BetterHelp virus on YouTube is back. Uh-oh.
What is BetterHelp? Odds are a lot of people watching this have actively seen advertisements for the service here on YouTube, maybe Facebook, or elsewhere.
Oops.
Loosely understanding it to be an online therapy application for matching patients with licensed professionals.
Yeah.
Pretty simple. The ads paint a picture of something kind or approachable, and the sponsorships they authorize talk about how burnout is a really difficult process and how help is just a few clicks away, but with tens of millions of dollars pouring into the YouTube ecosystem, hundreds and hundreds of videos promoting the service,
Well, hold on.
rapidly growing
Hold
list.
on. What is that? If you are in a crisis, don't use BetterHelp. Okay.
Pouring into the YouTube ecosystem, hundreds and hundreds of videos promoting the service, and a rapidly growing list of creators affiliated with them. I wanted to examine.
It's just a bunch of depressed millennials. I don't want to see this. This is pathetic. If I want to see this, I go to my next high school reunion. I want to see this shit.
In the full scope of this service, because it's not quite what people think it is, and prospective customers need to be aware of that. To do this, we need to go back in time. 2018 was many things, some good, some bad, but relevant for today's video, 2018 was the time frame when BetterHelp initially found traction on the platform by sponsoring a very large number of YouTube creators. These creators would very often talk about how valuable the service is. They would draw connections to their own personal lives or express their own struggles.
I
which is fine.
never did
People
this.
can promote things that they also believe in. Except there was a bit of a discrepancy between what was being said about the company and what users were actually experiencing.
What a
Anecdotal
surprise.
evidence is overly abundant here, but the gist of it then, and still today now, is that many users were complaining about unnecessary fees, difficulty canceling subscriptions, or problems with the service that left them completely unsatisfied. As an example, users who actively subscribed to the platform often had enormous difficulty canceling that subscription. They were repeatedly required to confirm their intentions and faced with things like this. Typically, when you go to buy something or cancel something, green means yes, do the thing I'm trying to do, and red means no, I changed my mind. Also, buttons to the left typically denote cancellation or go back, and buttons on the right signal confirmation or go forward.
This is confusing. I agree. I actually think that the red and green are okay, because red is usually to quit and green is usually to go. But they are switched, and I think that it is on purpose. Just read. Well, the thing is that... So, you ever seen a fat person try to run hurdles? You ever seen them try and do it? And they hit some, don't they? Every once in a while, they'll get one. They'll hit one because they can't get over it. Well, this is just a hurdle, and there's a couple of you know, metaphorical fat asses that it's going to stop them. A kid could read it though? Yeah, but what if you're dumber than that kid? Like, I don't think y'all understand how stupid people are. Like, y'all really need to, we gotta have a reality check.
BetterHelp, even though this is a relatively small item in the grand scheme of things for the video,
66%
would pretty blatantly
literacy,
try
yeah.
to trick
Remember
their
that?
customers into hitting the green button on the right, which would then actually halt the process of cancellation, because the goal wasn't convenience or satisfaction. The goal was to manipulate their user base into remaining on the platform with an active subscription, which would then continue to rack up charges even in their absence. Something else
Is
we
that
can look
somebody
at
on
to kind of
BetterHelp?
help showcase this is that even last year, that being 2023,
Refunded.
BetterHelp dispersed $93 million in refunds, which constituted 8% of their entire revenue stream. It's difficult.
That's crazy though. That means they made over $1 billion. That's nuts. Holy shit, that's really good. Well, bro, I should do some therapy shit. This is a good idea. There must be a lot of depressed millennials. Oh,
direct
man.
comparisons for that figure, but it's worth noting that the number of people who actually pursue and
All right.
complete a refund process, especially a difficult one, is substantially lower than the number of people who are overall dissatisfied with any given service, which begins to put things in perspective. You don't have to
Yeah,
look
it's
very
tip of the
far
iceberg,
to start
yeah.
finding many more clues about what kind of company this actually is, but try this one on for size. After a pretty horrifying tragedy took place at a festival called Astro World in Houston, there's a 1,200-page police report about what happened, which is pretty chilling, honestly, but the gist of it is that a hyped-up crowd compressed in on itself at a concert, and multiple people died as a result of that. After that tragedy occurred,
This is a Travis Scott concert, yeah.
BetterHelp partnered up with Travis Scott, who many believe to be partially responsible, despite managing to avoid criminal charges, and offered a free month of online therapy to all those affected. Yeah, the subpar remote therapist application, in partnership with a negligent rapper who excited a crowd and caused a tragedy,
Oh
are showing how much they care together by basically giving you 4 free telehealth sessions on an application that breaches your privacy and tries to keep you trapped in a cycle of payments.
I mean, you gotta hand it to them. They're really going for it, though, right? I mean, they're really going for it. Like, they're going all the way.
That's really
That's
fantastic.
impressive. Yeah,
That's
like
good
the
job.
level of
On
shamelessness.
top of this, as if that's not already enough
That's hard
form
to
a
do.
judgmental opinion of them, there was a bit of a problem with their terms of service. According to archives, their TOS previously contained a segment which said, quote, "We do not control the quality of the counselor services, and we do not determine whether any counselor is qualified to provide any specific service."
Huh. I should have signed up and done it. Yeah.
What? Now, that particular passage
I
has
should have
since
signed
been
up, man.
removed, obviously.
Could have
but
made
it
some
further
money.
demonstrates that the company has a really unstable
Somebody says in chat it's DoorDash for therapy.
foundation with the public when it comes to common perception. And their chosen
Yeah, and some
tactic
people's
to
food
remedy
gets cold.
this is just
Well, I
lots
guess
of
in this
money.
case, their body.
I already talked about how prolific BetterHelp used to be when it comes to
Was that
YouTube
too far?
sponsorships, but what I didn't say is that these YouTubers were getting paid something like $100 to $200 per sign-up when they advertise the service. Some affiliate websites show a minimum commission of $100 per trial user.
Remember what I said about how I usually
Let's
try
actually
to
quit Elden Ring.
dial it down? That's why I stay away from people.
Making it an extremely lucrative thing to advertise this mental health application and make it seem like a worthwhile service to use. Well, that was then, and this is now, so what precisely is connecting these 2 points in time? Answer: BetterHelp is connecting these 2 points in time because they are exponentially dialing up their advertising, once again, possibly relying on the fact that internet users have a very short attention span.
They're stupid.
And probably hoping to capitalize on a younger demographic of adolescent teenagers and early young adults who have been aggressively told that their mental health is the most important thing ever in the history of the universe for the majority of their living lives, making them not only hyper susceptible to this, but also relatively uninformed if they didn't pay attention 6 years ago when BetterHelp initially encountered controversy
I
on
need
the
to
platform,
close some of these
which was
holes.
also
Well, you're always
Here,
going to have a
it's gonna be a
new
bitch to
crop of
read over.
idiots, and you're going to, there's a new set of
Either
stupid
that-
14-year-olds that you can sell and scam
Yeah, this will
every
have to be like
single year.
texture. There's gonna be actually.
Every year there's a new crop of them. And like, so if you're scamming kids out of money or like 19-year-olds too, right? I mean, because 19, maybe they got student loan money, you can get that. It's an infinite money glitch. Yeah, it is. I'm a therapist, and BetterHelp should be illegal. It's disgusting to both the client and the provider. Therapy sweatshop. I mean, I've never been to therapy. I've never had a inclination to go to therapy. I think that, as I've said before, I joke around about how I'm crazy, but I actually think I'm the only person who's not. Everybody else is crazy. And in a world where everybody is crazy, they're going to think that it's actually you, but it's actually everybody else.
COVID,
it's not
which
me.
allows them to capitalize even further
it was never
on
me.
the dramatically increased tolerance people have for telehealth
Well,
and remote medical solutions, which weren't nearly as popular before then. According to research by the Out Loud group, BetterHelp went from sponsoring roughly 392 videos in third quarter 2022 up to 636 in first quarter 2023, 1,237 in the second quarter.
That's 2,000.
Nearly 2,000 in the third quarter. That's a pretty massive increase over time, on track to be roughly 10 times higher over the span of just 1 year.
Oh my God.
But seeing that made me wonder why. Why are they doing this now?
Well, because it makes money. You saw how that, like, the 8%, like if 8% of the money you make has to be refunded, like, you're making a huge amount of money. The pandemic must have doubled it. Yeah, pandemic fucked oh my God, bro. Like, pandemic made everybody crazy. It did. It turned people nuts, man. I feel like we're still recovering from that. It's like people became feral. It's like people went hollow, like in Dark Souls, like, you know, like those things at the beginning of the cinematic. That's the way people are. That was 5 years ago.
Holy shit!
Almost.
5 years ago.
It's the reason to dial up advertising that much on a platform whose community previously ejected them with very little sympathy.
Oh wait, it is 5 years ago. Well, to be fair, more like 2 years ago. The pandemic lasted for like 3 years. Did my internet die? No, just the video.
So the question is why?
Okay,
why would BetterHelp come back and dump that much money into YouTube right now?
Because they think you're stupid. And it's not that they think you're stupid. They know you're stupid. Every internet drama has a lifespan. And people don't care about internet drama that's old. Even if it's really bad drama. Like, you can think of the worst possible thing. Remember whenever Chris Brown beat the fuck out of Rihanna? Did anybody care whenever Chris Brown was talking about, like, these, like, new raps that he was doing about people? People thought it was hilarious. They didn't care. Because nobody gives a shit about this anyway. People just get recreationally mad about the internet, and then they go back to their normal life.
I dug around for a while.
You did? Yeah,
it
was crazy.
But finally, I stumbled on something.
Dude's an animal.
CareDash. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, which is probably...
Whoa, bro. Like, who was it that said it was DoorDash? I guess they must agree.
Everyone. CareDash is a platform meant to connect people to various doctors, dentists, and therapists. But I shouldn't say the word "is" here, because CareDash doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, it turns out CareDash was a fraud scheme that had been posting profiles of real physicians, clinicians, and therapists, most importantly, without their knowledge or consent. That might seem strange, but the incentive is actually very, very straightforward. CareDash would host the profiles of real therapists, but then if someone tried to use their platform to actually book an appointment with that therapist, CareDash would say, oops, sorry, they're not accepting new people right now, and refer that potential customer directly to BetterHelp.
That's smart.
Try to stay with me here.
Yeah.
I learned through an escalated federal lawsuit.
That's smart. That's what DoorDash does with, remember they had that lawsuit apparently? Where, like, they said that, like, this place is closed or something like that? Yeah, that's smart.
CareDash was operated by a company called NewFit Media. And NewFit Media is a multi-million-dollar startup funded by a venture capital firm called Link Ventures. It's got all the typical bells and whistles, world-class partnerships, and strong and passionate creative teams, etc.
Sure.
but if we compress it down to a basic
Agile
point of reference
workspace.
here, CareDash was a multi-million-dollar fraud platform driving traffic through unauthorized use of therapist profiles to BetterHelp, which was shut down in the first quarter of 2023.
Well, you have to understand that, like, you have to look, these people have the same ethical guidelines and guardrails as a raccoon does. So ask yourself the question, would a raccoon do this? If the answer is yes, then they would too.
This is where my Chrome window almost crashed completely because I had so many tabs open. And yeah, turns out that BetterHelp is actually a wholly owned subsidiary acquired by a company called Teladoc in 2015. Teladoc is a publicly traded company, thankfully, which means they have to disclose financials. So theoretically, I should be able to check what's happening, and presto goes the dynamite. Yes, I can. In the second quarter of 2023, shortly after the closure of CareDash, which was funneling customers directly to BetterHelp through a multi-million-dollar startup platform, and directly before they started exponentially increasing their advertising push on YouTube here, Teladoc disclosed that BetterHelp had roughly 476,000 paying users. However, in the fourth quarter of 2023, as BetterHelp is approaching a 10 times higher amount of advertising on YouTube, again, according to research from the Out Loud group, Teladoc disclosed that the number of paying users for the platform had actually decreased to 425,000.
Oh, that's bad.
That may seem small, but it's actually about 50,000 users.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
10% of their entire customer base.
That's
From
a lot.
my perspective, based on the information I've collected so far, it seems like the company is desperately trying to make up for the loss of CareDash, which was benefiting them tremendously as a primary user intake method. Through
Why don't they just make another website, call it Dash Care? Like, if I was them, if I was a raccoon, that's what I would do. Yeah, I feel like that's the first thing to do, or have somebody else do it in, like, South America. That was taken. Just figure out something else. You know, fuck. I think it's some better name. Uber Care. Yeah, Uber Care. That sounds good.
What about Care?
Affiliate program, despite not being directly associated with BetterHelp as a company.
Even BetterHelp. I like that. Yeah.
Every single day as they funnel money back into YouTube, hoping that people have somehow forgotten who they are.
They will.
That's my guess.
They will. People are gonna forget. What they should do is they should try to sponsor people that, what do you call it? I think that if I was them, like, who would I try to sponsor? I think what they should do is they should try to sponsor, like, some of those red pill people, because, like, they're always looking for money, and so they'll sell out their audience real quick, right? And on top of that, it can be seen as, like, men's health, so that way, like, you could trick people into doing that. Yeah, only cares. I like that. Yeah, I think that's a smart way. Like, that's probably a group of people you can manipulate and get them to give you money. Pretty easy. Probably the most easy. That's devious as fuck. Well, so here's the thing, right? Is like you look at a lion and you see a lion chasing down a herd of gazelles. And the gazelle that he gets is usually not the fastest gazelle. In fact, in most cases, it's the slowest gazelle. That's natural selection, and he just got selected.
Ugh.
These people are lions, and they're looking to select some people. That's just the way it is. The devious lion. Yeah, that's the way the world works.
Thankfully, there's a couple more pieces of the puzzle here that tie everything together quite nicely. So, yeah, let's go over those before doing a final summary. In July of 2023, BetterHelp was officially charged and penalized for sharing health questionnaire answers and other
requiring
data.
to pay $7.8 million. So $7.8 million, and they refunded 7% of their money, which was $93 million, which means that the total amount of money that they probably made was like $110 million for 10%, so it'd be $1.1 billion. But then they got a fine for $7 million. That sounds like the cost of doing business. That sounds like that. This sounds like like this is smart. This was smart. They probably made way more than $7 million off this. This was smart.
With advertisers.
Yeah.
It's a paltry sum, to be completely honest. $7.whatever million.
Nothing.
Affected users, of which there are roughly 800,000, are getting less than $10 each, while the company seems to spend more on YouTube advertising in a single year than the entire fine demanded that they pay. But
yeah,
regardless,
they don't care.
It gives a foot in the door to see what's really going on.
Okay.
Quote, despite representing to consumers that BetterHelp would keep consumers' information private and only use their information for non-advertising purposes, BetterHelp used and disclosed information obtained from consumers through the intake questionnaire and sign-up process for advertising. And
say it ain't so. No, man. Who the fuck didn't believe this?
Quote, so they lied about the data policies, told their user base, we won't use this information, and then turned around immediately and used it for advertising. Awesome.
Right, of course.
But it gets better, or it gets funnier, maybe. That's probably the wrong word. These are serious topics.
Well, you have to keep in mind that they probably didn't do that directly. What they probably said is that they would only share their information with their trusted partners. And then their trusted partners are another company that they own. And then they send the information to the trusted partner, and then the trusted partner uses the information to advertise to them. You see how that works? What's next? Pharmaceutical companies lying to us? That would be awful.
But it gets better, or it gets funnier.
Oh my God.
That's probably the wrong word. These are serious topics, I know. But consider this. In 2018, CEO Elon Musk published a Medium post that said, quote, one of the favorite conspiracy theories was that our business model is selling data to third parties.
Yeah. The only part of this that's a conspiracy theory is that it's a third party.
This is such a far-fetched conspiracy that I feel awkward addressing it. Our model is simple.
Yeah, it's not third
Members
party,
pay a
bro.
fee
It's
to get
first party. Yeah, what do you
Counselors
mean?
are paid to provide counseling. We are in the counseling business, not in the data business. There is nothing we take more seriously than the security and privacy of our members. It also goes without saying that counseling is a strictly regulated space, and selling such data would be a gross violation of federal laws,
Yeah,
state
you know
laws,
that because you got
HIPAA
the fine.
regulations,
Yeah.
and our own terms and privacy policy.
Yeah, because of the fine.
Okay. Conspiracy theory, hardly even worth responding to, I guess, according to one of the founders. But from 2013 to 2020, according to the now settled FTC investigation, docket C4796, the service was, quote, continually breaking privacy promises, monetizing consumers' health information to target them and others with advertisements for the service.
And that's the thing, is that Elon wasn't lying. And you see, this is one way that you can catch people that are lying. Like, I lie about shit all the time. I don't anymore. I really don't. I'm not really much of a liar. I used to be a huge liar. I used to lie about everything because it was just like, it was interesting. But anyway, one way that you can tell whenever somebody is lying is whenever they create a qualifying variable or a qualifying factor, like third party, and that's where the misdirection happens. It's never you create that second thing.
For example, from 2018 to 2020, respondent used these consumers' email addresses and the fact that they had previously been in therapy to instruct Facebook to identify similar consumers and target them with advertisements for the service, bringing in tens of thousands of new paying users and millions of dollars in revenue as a result.
It's not a lie.
End quote.
In my opinion, I think that if you mislead people, you're lying to them. If you, at any point, make someone believe something that's not true, if you even lead them to the wrong path, I think that it's just as bad as lying. And it's like, here's the thing, right? Let's say you die. You go, heaven's real. You go up to heaven. There's Jesus. Jesus says, why you keep lying to people? He said, I didn't lie to people. I misled them. Do you think Jesus would be like, oh, say no more. Come on in. You think he, like, I mean, come on. What the fuck? Like, get real.
See? So BetterHelp is growing just fine while ignoring basic data protection and privacy. But then, after the practice is discontinued, and after an openly criminal affiliate of theirs no longer funnels patients to them with fraudulent profiles, that's when they suddenly take a nosedive and start hemorrhaging customers. Correlation does not necessarily equal causation, but I mean, come on. It actually goes even deeper. According to an investigation by Jezebel, which monitored traffic from the BetterHelp application and then compared some of it to associated personal data records from Facebook, from the moment the intake questionnaire was filled out, quote, BetterHelp began to silently slip data to dozens of third parties, monitoring our behavior online and signaling to companies like Facebook, Google, Snapchat, and Pinterest that we were considering BetterHelp treatment. Further down, quote, during a session with a therapist, we found that metadata from every message, though not its contents, was also sent to the social media company, meaning that Facebook knew what time of day we were going to therapy, our approximate location, and how long we were chatting on the app.
That's right.
When we asked about this directly, BetterHelp declined to elaborate on why a social media company needed to know quite so much about when and how we were asking for help, details that were connected to our Facebook profiles and thus our identities, end quote. That's a lot, but let's do a summary here. BetterHelp, a prominent and very prolific YouTube sponsor in the 2018 years, was paying enormous affiliate fees and raking in tens of thousands of users until the community caught wind of what they truly were and basically ousted them. In subsequent years, they collected data from their user base, used and distributed that data illegally to advertise with social media companies, got caught for it, and paid a fine, while also benefiting from the illegal traffic of a multi-million-dollar medical startup that was impersonating therapists. The FTC busted them directly for the data. CareDash got taken down by the FTC as well after a complaint by the NASW. And right after all of this happens, BetterHelp starts bleeding tens of thousands of subscribers. Meanwhile, they start massively dialing up their YouTube advertising campaigns, including the number.
Have y'all seen an advertisement for BetterHelp on YouTube anytime recently? Because I don't know if that I have, but I usually have like, you know, a blocker on. So, yeah, you guys see it
on YouTube
1,000 times. Can you give me an example of a podcast that uses BetterHelp as an advertisement that I can look up right now and find it? Theo Vaughn.
Today's guests are two men.
Sponsored by Celsius. I'm not seeing it. If I can't see it, it's not real.
Videos that they actively sponsor because, what, time to try it all again? As if the YouTube community isn't going to remember who you are and what you did?
They won't. No, they won't. You just have to advertise with different people. Yeah, no, like, for sure.
Top of the other stuff you just did in the meantime while trying to make a comeback? Really? That's the plan? I can't say for sure, and
this is the problem, is like you can never hold people socially accountable for anything because there's so many people in the world and so many people are so stupid that you can never expect any time for the market to actually hold anyone accountable in the long term. Now, you can have like a, you know, a flash in the pan, really everybody's mad, and then it stops for a while. But whenever it comes back, the problem is that there's like a diminishing return about people that are getting mad about it again. So it's like, the latest software is BetterHelp. Yeah. I mean, you need to bankrupt them? Well, no. What you need to do is you need to have a law for this, and you need to hold these people accountable for doing this legally. Like, that's really what you need to do. Because anything short of that won't solve any problems. It won't do anything. It won't make anything better. It will just make people feel good for preventing something bad from happening for a very, very small period of time. Other than that, nothing else will change.
Absolute certainty. But what I see is a company trying to weasel its way back into the ecosystem, and I'm not having it. Please let people know. Please make other creators aware.
Oh, my God.
While sponsorships are perfectly fine, of course, I do understand people need money.
Guys, I'm actually pretty sleepy. I'm gonna go to sleep now. I might wake up earlier and then stream in the morning. So I'll continue this stream tomorrow, I guess, in the morning when I wake up. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how like the head redesign is going. Bit curious as to how the tentacles in the back are going to work. Like, I guess I can model them symmetrically and then give them some sort of animation so they're kind of like pulsating. So they're not symmetrical when they're animated. Yeah. See you guys later. See you later, Rusty. Good night.